Right now, there's probably a song stuck in your head. You didn't choose it. It just showed up, looping on its own, and it'll probably still be there an hour from now. You've had music in your ears today, or in a shop, or in a car, and you barely noticed it. It's background. It's everywhere. It's so normal that it feels like it was always just there. But music is one of the strangest things our species has ever done, because it doesn't feed you. It doesn't shelter you. It doesn't fight off a predator or heal a wound. By every rule of survival, music is useless. And yet every human culture that has ever been studied on every continent in every era makes it. No exceptions. A behavior that costs energy and gives you nothing you can eat somehow became universal. So the question is, when did this start and why did it survive? You might assume music came late. That first we handled the serious things: food, shelter, tools, language, and then once life got comfortable, someone started humming for fun. Music as decoration, the reward at the end of civilization, but the evidence says the opposite. Music didn't come after we became human. It might be part of how we got there. Let's go to the oldest hard proof we have. In a cave in southwestern Germany called Hohle Fels, an archaeologist named Nicholas Conard was digging through Ice Age sediment. In 2008, his team pulled out something thin and hollow, broken into pieces. When they reassembled it, they were holding a flute. It was carved from the wing bone of a vulture, drilled with finger holes, shaped with care. It was about 40,000 years old. Sit with that. 40,000 years ago, before farming, before writing, before the wheel, before anyone had built a single permanent thing, someone sat in a freezing cave, took the bone of a bird, and made an instrument. Not a tool for hunting, not a weapon, a flute, something whose only purpose was to make sound in the air. And it wasn't a lucky one-off. In the same region, in nearby caves, archaeologists found more flutes, some carved from mammoth ivory, which is far harder to work than bone. Making an ivory flute means splitting the tusk, hollowing each half, carving the holes, and gluing it back together airtight. That's hours of skilled labor from people who lived on the edge of survival. They chose to spend it on music. That tells you music wasn't a leftover. It mattered enough to bleed time for. Now here's where it gets stranger. There's a bone that might push the story back even further. In a cave in Slovenia called Divje Babe, researchers found a piece of a young cave bear's thigh bone with holes in it. If those holes were made by hands, it would be a flute around 50,000 to 60,000 years old, and it wouldn't have been made by us. It would have been made by Neanderthals. Now this one is heavily debated. Some scientists think the holes are just bite marks from a hyena's teeth, not finger holes, so we can't call it proof. But the possibility alone is haunting, that we might not have even been the first species to make music. And that raises a deeper point, because the flute isn't actually where music starts. A flute is already advanced. Before anyone drills a bone, there's a much older instrument, one that leaves no trace in the dirt. Your voice, your hands, your feet. Long before the first flute, humans were almost certainly singing, clapping, stamping, keeping rhythm with their own bodies. And none of that fossilizes, so the flutes we dig up aren't the beginning of music. They're the point where music got so important that people started building machines for it. So why would a species obsessed with survival pour itself into something that doesn't help it survive? A cognitive archaeologist named Stephen Mithen has an answer that flips everything. He argues that music and language grew out of the same root, and that a kind of musical communication may have come first. Before our ancestors had precise words, they may have used melody, pitch, and rhythm to carry meaning, to soothe, to warn, to bond, sound with emotion, before sound with grammar. If he's right, then in a real sense, we sang before we spoke. And there's a reason that would have been worth keeping. Because music does something almost nothing else can. It synchronizes people. When a group sings together, or drums together, or moves in time together, their bodies fall into rhythm, and the brain responds by releasing endorphins, the same chemicals that make us feel bonded and safe. The researcher Robin Dunbar has spent years studying this, and his work points to a striking idea. Singing and moving in time let early humans feel connected to far more people at once than one-on-one contact ever could. A song could bind a whole group in a way a conversation never would. Think about what that means for a fragile band of humans surrounded by a hostile world. The tribe that could sing together, could trust together, could coordinate, could move as one. Music wasn't a distraction from survival. It may have been the glue that made survival in groups possible at all. And there's one more layer, the most intimate one. Long before any of this, there was a mother holding an infant, making soft, rhythmic, rising and falling sounds to calm it. Every culture on Earth does this, and it sounds almost the same everywhere. That gentle sing-song voice you use with a baby without thinking, that may be the oldest music there is. Not made for a crowd, made for one person to say, "You're safe, I'm here." So here's the full picture. 40,000 years ago, someone carved a flute from a bird's wing in an Ice Age cave. Tens of thousands of years before that, humans were almost certainly singing with nothing but their own bodies. And that singing may not have been a side effect of being human. It may have been part of what made us human, the thing that let strangers become a tribe, that let a tribe move as one, that let a mother tell a child without words that everything was going to be okay. Music never had to be useful. It was something better than useful. It was the sound of belonging. So the next time a song lands in your head out of nowhere and won't leave, remember what it actually is. You're not just hearing a tune. You're doing something your ancestors were doing in the dark 40,000 years ago, around a fire, in the cold, when they had almost nothing and chose to make music anyway. We were never quiet. We've been singing the whole time. If you want to dig into the flutes and the research behind this, it's all linked down in the description.